Record. Perfect. So, welcome for everyone who is here live. If you're watching the replay, awesome. Welcome to the replay as well. We are going to go ahead and get started, but I know I still have some people entering. So, as people are entering, if you could jump into the chat box, say hello. Hi, my name is. Where you're from, where you're listening from. Always like to try and make things relevant to you as much as I can, and location's a good place. So, for context, I'll start in the chat. My name's Megan. I live in Maryland. So that's a very simple example. I do love engagement, and you'll see me ask for engagement throughout. And the reason I do this is I think I'm a little, quote unquote, little. I'm traumatized from COVID. I used to have to teach over screens to high school students who never would turn their video on, which I don't care so much that you're not turning your video on, but as long as I'm not like talking to a blank wall. So I would love to see engagement just so I know that I'm not talking to myself, which is why I ask you to say, hey, my name is, and I'm from wherever. Um, that it's just a good way, a very easy way to get started. And also for us to build that community, build that engagement, and feel like I'm talking to someone. So, hey, Jill. Jill lives in Delaware. Awesome. You're a busy small business owner. I totally get that. Um, so Jill is close to me, and you get the teacher life. I know that for sure. Melissa, you live overseas in Europe. Awesome. That's so exciting. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I don't know what time it is for you, but I imagine it's in the evening. So, Kelly, you are in Arkansas. I actually met with someone named Kate. She's like a big influencer for travel in Arkansas. And I was like, I've never seen so many beautiful places in Arkansas. Christy's in Virginia. Oh, it's only 8 p.m., so it's not super late, but definitely still evening for you. It's 2 p.m. afternoon for me. All right. Perfect. Thank you all for engaging. I'm going to ask for a couple more, just like small, easy questions. There's never any pressure, but it helps you engage better and understand the content better, and also like pay attention because if you're multitasking, of course, then it's hard to really uh, go all in and feel like you are getting what you need out of this. And I want to make sure that this is worth your time. All right. This is a 3-day series. It is called Fall into Healthy Habits. We will be doing workshops today. Today's Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Today we'll be chatting routines, so resetting your routines. Tomorrow we will be talking about fueling for all day energy. And on Thursday, there's actually two different time slots. I'm doing one at 2 p.m. Eastern time and also 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. So, Melissa, that's probably not for you because that's going to be the middle of the night if you're at 8:30 overseas. But I know a lot of people in the States, if you're working during the day and you can only do evening time or after the kids go to bed, that's what I'll be doing. I'll put the kids to bed and then I'll jump on here at 8:30. But that's probably the biggest day. And so creating an action plan to take you over the next 3 months, that is a really big takeaway. And I want you to be able to attend that live. So I put two different days for that one. They will all be recorded just like this one is. I'm going to drop them in a single PDF document where you will see the replay link every day, along with sometimes there's other links. So today there's a short quiz, like an assessment. So I would drop that link in there as well. They'll all be in one single Google Doc. So you can find everything really easily. And then I will email that out some point at the end, at the afternoon after it ends. I understand you might not be able to watch it live, but watching the replay is just as good because that information's there. And honestly, you could pause it and like replay it if you need to. I've also structured this as you've noticed into a workshop, not a webinar. So I'm not talking at you this whole time. I'm actually going to pause and have time for you to think things through because everyone's situation is a little bit different. Everyone's going to have their own scenarios that you are dealing with or focusing on or working toward. And so it's going to look a little different for everybody. And I want to give you time to build it out. So we'll workshop toward the end. I want to give you background information, some knowledge in the beginning, explain what's going on, kind of give you that context, and then give you time for workshopping at the end. Okay. So that's kind of the structure of the next 3 days, but including today. First, are you ready to focus? I've said this to those of you who were here in the first few minutes. I used to be a teacher. I taught over screens for a good chunk of time of being a teacher, and talking to blank screens was tough for me because I knew no one was actually there. And I'm not asking you to turn on your screen, but I am asking you, like, hey, give this your attention because you're going to get more out of it than if you're trying to multitask and you're on your phone and you're answering your emails and doing all those things. So try to focus and give this your undivided attention. These are the different topics for the week. So we will be going over 3 different topics. They're a little bit different titles because as I built this out, I was like, I really want to talk very specific things. I want to give you some background information today is the 5 pillars of fast and easy weight loss, even when stressed the heck out. We're just starting to get to know each other. I won't go with the full F-bomb yet. So we'll just say the heck out. Tomorrow is fueling for all day energy. So yeah, it's what I said. But as I developed, I was like, a lot of people are like afraid to eat carbs, or they're totally under eating, sometimes even more than overeating. So I wanted to talk about that tomorrow. And day 3 is having all of the things in place so that your body can release weight. And that's helping you build the 90-day action plan. So it is what I said in the workbook. But as I continued to develop this, I was like, I need to be a little more specific with where I'm going. So that's where these like slightly different titles came from. So, my promise to you by the end of this workshop, and yes, that's today, but it's also all 3 days, you'll know exactly where stress is blocking your results and your first move to fix it. I'm not giving you every single step because I don't want to overwhelm someone who is already, frankly, overwhelmed and you have a lot going on. But I want you to be able to reclaim your health. I want you to feel present with your family when you are spending time with them. And what a lot of people come to me for, I want you to be able to see that scale move and stay moving in the right direction. So, this is one of those things I would love to see, just like, hey, can I relate? Yes, I relate to this one, or this one really stood out to me. So, that's something I'd love to see in the chat. But I'm going to go through these and I want to hear if you can relate to any of these. So, are you ever wired at night, having trouble falling asleep because your mind's racing, but you wake up tired and feel like you didn't sleep at all, but you technically slept a full night's sleep? Or maybe you need afternoon caffeine, or you have sugar cravings in the afternoon because that energy just at 2 p.m., 4 p.m. just crashes and you have no energy left. What about your stress levels? Are stress levels through the roof? Maybe your mood, you're like very anxious or on edge all the time, snapping at your kids, very irritable at your partner, not able to focus, brain fog, like not able to do any of that. Or your patience is very, very low. Maybe you think that you are eating healthy and yet something's going on because you're still gaining weight. You are dealing with bloating or inflammation, some sort of digestive issue, and you just don't feel good. Like you feel slow, you feel like a slug, you just don't feel comfortable. I mentioned brain fog, constant cravings, anxious, irritable, like survival mode, nonstop. So these are the words. I run a Facebook group. Maybe some of you are in it. When people join my Facebook group, I ask them, like, what are you struggling with? These are their words. Like, these are what they're actually saying. And when I talk to people one-on-one, this is what they're saying. Like, these are real words. And so I'm curious if any of those are relative for you. Um, yeah, so several of those are issues, stress levels, bloating, eating healthy. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, cool. So I always like to make sure that I am talking to you all. So if there's something else that I didn't mention here, let me know. You can send it private. You don't have to send it to everyone. But I don't want to waste your time. I do want to make this relevant. So I want to make sure that I am talking to the people in the room. Okay, good. So I always like to say here, it's not your fault that you feel this way. A lot of it is our society of how just our structure is built, whether that is the school system and we are moving in, that's a lot of like as we are switching seasons, we're moving into fall routines. So school's starting, whether you're a teacher, I know I have a lot of teachers in this group. I have a lot of parents in this group. So drop-offs or buses or packing lunches or sports activities, all of those things are starting up again. But just, I would say, like society in general with the workday, like whoever came up with this idea that we should work 5 days and be off two, like that, that doesn't work with how it would work if I designed it. So a lot of it's society. And a lot of it is big marketing dollars at work. People that have big, big budgets that like to market the foods that have labels that have pretty faces or cute little sayings on them. And they taste really good because they've been engineered in a food laboratory and they taste really good and they're really hard to avoid. And of course, you're going to want more of those things because they're designed for that than eating a carrot, for example. So our body is built a certain way, then our systems are built around it, and all of it makes it really hard for us to show up. Then add on being a female in today's society, where you are expected to kind of do all the things, especially if you're a mom, especially if you are working. And those tend to be the people I talk to, tend to be people who are professionals, who are moms, who are doing all of the things. And it used to be moms would be stay at home and in charge of the house, but now it's like you're in charge of the house and you're in charge of all the thousands of travel sport activities and you're in charge of all the things at school and you are also working on top of it. It's like all of these things on top of each other, and that makes it really hard. So societal expectations and marketing dollars at work make it really, really hard to be healthy in today's world. So it is not your fault. And also, you have the power to make changes. So giving you that confidence as well. So instead of what we said, like, this is what I'm experiencing, I know hearing your words, collective you, this is generally what I hear for people being their goal. They want all day steady energy. They want to feel calmer. They want to sleep better. They want a body that actually responds to the changes that they're trying to make. They want to see movement on the scale even though truly it's not the number, right? It's not the number. We don't care about the number. We want that number to translate into our clothes feeling better, fitting better, us feeling better in our clothes, feeling more confident in pictures, not like we're hiding or trying to get that perfect angle, but yet we look good in pictures and we like what we see in the mirror. So the scale represents all of those things, right? And we also want a very clear plan that we can stick to, not just on those perfect days, but is like a real life plan, right? So hopefully that sounds accurate, but I definitely want to hear from you here. So I want to hear, what is your dream goal, whether it's health, whether it's stress. I would love for you to share it with us, as specific as possible. I want to lose 25 pounds, right? How many pounds do you want to lose? I would love to hear this. So what's your dream? It could just be, hey, I want to clock out on the weekends and have a full weekend to myself. Could be very simple like that. It could be more complex. It's like I have all these things. Like I want to have the calm life. I want my kids to not whine. That's mine. I want to feel like I have no brain fog. I want my joint pain to go away. Like you can be very specific here, but I'm curious, what is your goal? And by the way, you should be able to only message me, rather than having to message everyone. So there's an option to just send a message to me. Yeah. Participants can chat with any, yeah, perfect. I would like to lose some weight. That's not specific enough. How much weight? How much is some weight? I want to lose 50 pounds. Awesome. I eat clean foods, but I undereat. And then health issues. So mitigating those health issues, right? I want my body to feel better, get rid of brain fog, get rid of the pain. I want to get rid of the bloating. Yes, absolutely. That is very specific. Yes. Awesome. Oh, so I see a couple. We'll see if any more filter in. But I want you to take this goal because you just told it to me. You shared it with the people in this group. Okay, so you want to lose more than, what's that? Is that 50, 60 pounds? Okay, love it. I know I need to know what I'm supposed to eat, so I want to learn so I can sustain a healthy weight. Awesome. Yes, those are very specific. Great. So I want you to take that and put that on the top of your workbook. Even if you don't have the workbook yet, I should put it back there because I know more people have joined since I sent it. Even if you don't have the workbook yet, grab a blank sheet of paper. I want to just put it at the top of the paper. And as you're taking notes today, I want you to see that because I want you to see that goal. It is absolutely attainable for you. Awesome. I see one more. Lose 20 pounds, gain more confidence, feel better. Yes. So confidence is a moving target, right? But when you look at yourself, when you look at pictures, you feel better in those pictures. You feel more confident. So, yeah, specifics. I love it. So, I guess I never introduced myself. I always put this slide in. I'm like, I need to make sure to introduce myself. Let me give you a little context of who I am and how I can help you with these actual specific goals. My name's Megan, if you didn't know that already. I have a program called the Breakthrough Burnout Method. I became certified as an integrative health practitioner, so I have some certifications. But if you look down at the bottom, I have a lot of background in science. I didn't graduate with my PhD because I decided I didn't want to work in labs forever, but I'm an almost graduate of a PhD. I did all the coursework. I just didn't actually finish the research because I was like, I'm tired. I'm moving home from Colorado. I'm going back to Maryland. I moved back with my husband. His name's Brett. This is Brett here in this picture. We have two kids. They're 5 and 7 right now, Kenna and Jesse. And we have gone through this like iteration of being a business owner different times, being teachers, and then also having a lot of stress. And so I know that when I talk to people, stress is a huge impact for them. And so I like to say this of I understand this very well. So when we moved back in 2014, we had a little farm that was like a passion project. We ended up teaching pretty much right after that, and we moved into teaching. Obviously, COVID happened. We had kids along that point. And then after COVID, some things shifted, and we're like, I'm going to open a brick and mortar and I'm going to move out of teaching. I'm going to open a juice bar. So that was great. Like, if you've ever heard me talk about smoothies, I love smoothies. There's a good reason for it. I love juice. But that's not the full picture. You can't have a full diet on those things. And also, just like you know, with your grocery bill, ingredients are very expensive. So we shifted gears from the juice bar. We actually sold it in February of this year. And so I moved fully online. So I'd been doing this for a while, but I moved fully online this year and focusing on this, which has been great because it's lowered the overall stress and has given me just it has fit my life better. So the takeaway from here is not me talking about myself so much and qualifications, but I want you to know that you can shift things if they aren't working for you. Like knowing that it is possible from someone who has done it multiple times over. When I have had very, very stressful points to the point of burnout, I have shifted and it has always been moving me in the right direction every single time. So it is possible for you too. So I'll walk you through this story a little bit. This was our last first day of school picture. If you're familiar with the first day of school picture, you're probably going to see your Facebook feed flooded with them in the next couple weeks, right? Because back to school. But in the first day of school picture, we would always take it at my parents' house. This is in front of their fireplace. It's where I took mine when I was a little kid. My kids were going, I think my daughter was going into kindergarten and my son was starting school for the first time. He was in pre-K. I was actually teaching part-time at this point, and my husband was teaching shop. So we were all going back to school. This was our last first day of school picture. So we are no longer teaching, although the kids still are in school. I was super burned out. I was like, I moved to part-time teaching. I was only teaching one course. We had already opened the juice bar, but I was like, I am like beyond stressed out and overwhelmed, and I didn't feel good. Smiling in the picture, but not feeling good on the inside. And a couple years later, 2024, so this was last summer, I knew a couple things shifted, and I'll tell you something very personal, but I'll tell you like the overview first. I was working like 80 plus hours a week. It was the summer. That's our tourist season around here. So I was working really hard. Making juice is a lot of work, lifting produce, smiling and talking to people. For an introvert, I'm an introvert. It's a lot. Like it's a lot to be on all the time and working very long days. And so we had made the decision by this point to sell. We didn't end up selling till February of this year, but we started selling it in August, a full year ago. Um, a little less than a year ago, what shifted our decision is I had already started this business online. I had been working with clients, but I was only doing it like part-time, and I was doing this full-time. And I made the decision. I was like, it's time to fully shift. And it's a really painful story, to be honest. But our son came home from daycare. He was at camp at a local place in Berlin. Happy to tell you the name. I really could not dislike a business more. But he came home with bruises around his neck from one of the camp counselors. And I was like, no, like I'm done. I'm never having someone watch my child again, unless they are in a structured school system with a lot of oversight. And um, I couldn't believe that someone actually physically abused my son to the point of having bruises around his neck. And we're like we're done. Like I've been working 80 hours a week. I was never with them on the weekends. During the school year, I was working on the weekends, and like during the summer, I was definitely very busy on the weekends. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like I am prioritizing the wrong things. And so we totally shifted. And this is a big takeaway for you because I want you to know that all success is predicated on simply making a decision, simply thinking about it, thinking that whisper in the back of your head. It's like, oh, I should do this, or I shouldn't do this anymore. That is your intuition telling you to move in that direction, and it's something you should listen to. Because if it's no longer a whisper, it becomes like a slap to the face or a brick right through the windshield. And it becomes really obvious, like it did in this case. I should have listened to the warning signs, like, oh, you haven't eaten 3 meals today. You have been existing on like overflow smoothies, listening to those kinds of whispers, or no, you're not sleeping well at night, or oh, you've gained 20 pounds in the last couple years. Like those are warning signs. And then something happens where it totally makes it obvious. Hopefully, it's never as bad as what I experienced, but it is something like, oh my God, like that's awful, right? So listen to the whispers. So what did I do? What did I do at this point? We started listing the business for sale, like preparing to sell it. And ultimately, I had really been on this health journey for years since my daughter was born in 2018. But I was like, I'm focusing on just making myself better. And so this was actually in 2023, but I was still at the same weight in 2024. Like I hadn't changed. And so ultimately, what I did is I really focused. I became certified as I am today, putting in the practices of what I'm actually teaching to you all today and just learning as much as I can. And I became certified as this integrative health practitioner. I use that to heal myself, and now I can translate it and talk to you and actually help you make changes as well. But I want you to know, like, I've lived this. I lost 27 pounds in 3 months. I've maintained it since then. I've gotten stronger since then. I feel really good. And I put the other things, the other puzzle pieces, if you will, of my life, like those have fallen into place. But I had to put the oxygen mask on. I had to really focus in on my health in order to make a difference in the stress, in order to make a difference in how I showed up for other people. And so it looks good, I guess, in the picture. I hate that picture. It's like not my favorite at all. I hate looking at it. But in the pictures, I know it looks night and day difference, but it wasn't an overnight shift. It's been a constant journey, as you might imagine. So I did struggle just like you, which is how I can use these words. I'm like, I know how you feel because I've been there. This is like couple years ago in August, like I didn't want to be in a bathing suit. My kids are playing in the water. I didn't want to go out and be in a bathing suit. So I was missing out on playing with them because I was self-conscious. I'd go home, I'd scroll on my phone. I was irritable. I'd snap at, like, I feel like I snapped at every little thing. I was drinking coffee in the afternoon just so I wouldn't crash at bedtime and fall asleep in their bed. And then I'd be like, of course, lying awake in bed and couldn't wind down, with or without coffee. Like I just couldn't shut my brain off. And I'd be waking up thinking about, oh, I have to do all these things. So all this to say is, I get it, right? I get it. So taking that story, I like to talk in stories, but I want to show you there's a simpler way to actually move forward and get progress. And that's the focus of today's workshop. So today, we're talking about the 5 pillars of fast and easy weight loss, even when stressed the fuck out. There's 5 pillars. These are not in your workbook because as I was developing, I'm like, I need to give you more information before you can actually make changes. So I wanted to add these pillars in. There is a notes section, so I do recommend taking notes. And I'll go through each of these. But first, I want to talk about one of my clients, Sandy, she's getting ready to graduate at the end of this week. Sandy was very similar to me when she first enrolled. She was always on the go. She had teenage boys who would work late, so she wasn't getting enough sleep because she was either like driving them home or they waiting for them to come home. She was basically putting everyone's needs first. What that showed up as is she would skip breakfast. Even like to this day, I'm like, reminder, you have to eat breakfast. But like skipping morning meals, that was like her regular as everything was. Like it was just like just getting by, not getting enough sleep, just go, go, go all the time. So yes, of course, we talked about nutrition and we talked about exercise. And she is consistently exercising again. But more importantly, I would argue, is the mindset shift she has had along the way. She has picked up joy and finding time for herself, like picking up upholstery. I've never like thought about that as a hobby, but she has picked it up. She loves it. She's like, I've always wanted to do it. And she picked up upholstery as a hobby. So that's just one example, but she consistently shows up for herself. She no longer skips morning meals. She's eating quality food at breakfast. She's eating actually more food now than before we started, which sounds backwards because she is still losing weight. She's still seeing sustained weight loss and she's getting stronger and she's eating more, which sounds backwards, but it is possible when you focus on the right thing. So I wanted to tell you about Sandy. I'll tell you about a couple other clients throughout because stories are really powerful. All right. I'm going to send you a link and it's going to go up in the chat. I know it just said I paused screen sharing. There we go. Um, I'm going to send this to you. Please tell me if you can't open it. Should be good to go, but apparently, like my Zoom link, technology doesn't always work. But I want you to look through and do a quick stress check. This should take 2 minutes, so it's very, very quick. And I want you to score yourself on this about how often. Thanks, Jill. Appreciate you. Yes, it works. How often are these things happening? So, are you eating when you're waking up? Are you getting movement in? Maybe just a walk. Maybe you're doing a full workout. Maybe you're sitting outside and just walking to the porch and getting some sunlight. How often are you doing that? Okay. The other things, what are your energy levels like? What do those look like in the afternoon? Um, did I send you the right one? Yeah. I don't know if I sent you the right one. The link works, but I think I sent you the wrong one. I'll send it again to the specific one. It looks different. You got it. Okay. Um, Technology is my friend today. So midday energy, evening wind downs, the next one. Look, I see that many people in, so I know you're in. Okay. Do you feel wired at night? Do you scroll on your phone in bed? Do you struggle to fall asleep, stay asleep? What about fueling? Are you eating food? Are you eating enough food? And specifically, protein. Are you eating enough protein? Are you eating enough carbs? Carbs, I think, get a bad rap these days. They are positioned as the devil. Um, so most people cut out carbs as a full, like, cannot have. So I'm not that person. I actually think you should have carbs, but I think you should have the right portions of carbs. And then lastly, maybe snacking all day instead of having 3 meals a day. The last one's on exercise. So do you feel like you recover well after exercise? Are you doing strength training or HIIT exercises? Are you getting enough steps? So how would you score yourself? Um, if you are giving yourself a 2, you're doing that most days. A 1 is like maybe half the time. A 0 is rarely. Okay. So yeah. So someone said the tracks stress is higher than I'd like. Sometimes those, machines are machines. It's I would assess how you feel and how you how you are showing up. Also, if you are not seeing results, like you're trying to lose weight and you're not seeing results, yeah, maybe your stress is there. But if you are able to see progress, then perhaps it's not accurate. So it take the Garmin with a grain of salt. I've seen those too. Um, I would assess other, like use other pieces of data as well. All right, score is 4, 6, 4. Yeah, so, all right, so knowing that there is a place where we can do some work, I will say if you got over a 7, okay, if you got over a 7, that's where I see sometimes clients need to heal before they can actually see progress as far as weight loss. Okay. This still needs some focus. If you're under a 3, you're doing all right. That's a good place to be. But anything above a 4 means that there's areas for improvement. And if you're above a 7, you're like, definitely want to focus. Otherwise, you're going to hit burnout. And I know that because I have hit it. What does a nightly downshift mean? So a downshift here, and I will talk about it in the pillars. Downshift is like a evening routine. So we're talking evening routines, but having a way to calm down so your mind isn't racing at night. And so often that means moving away from screens. Often that means having something that is calming, an early enough bedtime, but an evening routine that helps you wind down is ultimately what that means. I'm going to head back to the slides. And that's something you can keep. You can make a copy of it if you'd like and check back in with yourself. Obviously, that's like my single version of it. So I didn't let you edit it directly, but you can make a copy and write on it or save it for later. It's a really good place to check in. A lot of times, the reason that we are showing up in this way, getting a score of 4, 6 beyond, is we are stressed, we're overwhelmed, and so we can't do the things that we know we should do. And sometimes we don't honestly know what those things are. So these symptoms, if you will, they show up. They're not random. They're just evidence, there's signs that your body is saying, hey, something's off and it is time to shift it. So when your mind is racing at night or you're waking up, and this is what was happening when we had the juice bar, I was waking up and I was like, oh, here are all these things I have to do. That is a very clear sign that, hey, something's going on. You are stressed and we need to shift it. Okay. What happens are the other things on this quiz. They're like, I'm busy. I don't have time for breakfast. Let me just drink coffee for breakfast. I'm going to skip. Or I need to lose weight, so I clearly need to cut calories. Or I need to work out more. Like I need to increase the output. Maybe I need to stay late. I have so much to do. I'm just going to stay up late. I'm going to fit everything in. And so when you're doing this, you're telling your body that you're in survival mode, whether it's a little bit of survival mode, a little bit of stress, or a lot of bit of stress. And when your body's stressed, it totally switches how it handles hormones. It switches from being in this state of like, oh yeah, like I have this monthly cycle and things shift pretty predictably throughout the month to depressing everything. All of your hormones get downregulated, which means they're not made at the levels they should be. And instead, what is prioritized is cortisol. So we make a lot more cortisol to essentially help our body survive. But we don't need to survive through traffic or a busy workday or sports activities or all the things. Instead, we need to balance our life better. And so we need to pull our body out of survival mode and move it into rest and digest. We need to honor our parasympathetic nervous system, like putting all these words in to saying that stress is making us fatter than we want to be. It's making you hold on to fat. It's making you gain weight. It's making you prioritize the wrong things. And it usually comes from a place of stress. So that's really key. Maybe that's something that goes in your note section as we move into these pillars, because that is framing where we talk about all of this. So the truth, your body isn't broken. It's just really stressed. It is stressed the F out. And something needs to shift before you can lose weight, especially if you're at that 7, 8, 9, 10 score. But even if you're at the 4, 5, or 6, right? You have a lot of stress factors going on that are impacting your behaviors. So let's talk about what's going on and why stress impacts it. So a lot of times, and these are like kind of the mistakes, if you will, the mistakes that people make when they're working on their own. You're treating the symptom, you're not treating the cause. So you're not treating stress, you're treating the fact that you think you're eating too much, okay? Cutting calories. Or you're trying to do more cardio because you're trying to have more calories burned. That doesn't work when you're stressed. Or sometimes there's other underlying causes. I won't go into everything, but maybe there's gut issues, hormones, all the things. Okay. When there's something root cause, you are only treating the symptom. Perhaps you're stuck in survival mode, and I mentioned this, but that's going to keep you like holding on to fat more. You're going to be super low energy. Your hormones are going to be totally off. We think, oh, I need to fix my metabolism. But usually, what's happening is that we are undernourished. Maybe you're not getting enough food because you're not actually eating the right things, or you're not eating enough of the right things. So you don't have the right minerals, vitamins, protein. That means your body can't do what it's supposed to do. So our body naturally, in a perfect world, will burn the right amount of fat. It will have steady state, balanced blood sugar. We will have plenty of energy all day. If those are off, it's because perhaps we're not fueling it correctly. Stress weight, this idea of stress weight is real. And so I've done a lot of research. This is actually what I'm, if anything, specialize in is this idea of cortisol and inflammation and how it shows up in our body. Okay. And so willpower alone is not going to get you there. It's this idea of let's treat the root cause. Let's address the stress and the things within our control to feel better. And then use data. I'm not chatting about it today, but in the past, and some at some other point, I'll do another workshop on it. But talking about how we use functional medicine labs or some sort of hormone labs to look at what's going on with cortisol, to look at what's going on with all of the sex hormones, to look at nutrient deficiencies, or gut health. There are ways to test, so you're not just guessing, you're actually using data, and that's an option. If it's interesting to you, reach out to me, but I'm not focusing on that today. Just know that you can test and know what's going on at that specific level. Now, putting all of that together, the good news here, when you stop fighting your body and you actually give it what it needs, which is nutrients, which is rest, which is like leisure time and relaxation and water, simple things like that, everything is going to shift. And then it becomes a lot more natural. It works. And so let's dive into that. Okay. This is where you're going to want to take notes, by the way. The 5 pillars of fast and easy weight loss, and we're going to go through each one, but I had to show it in a nice pillar fashion, but I don't like that it's sideways. Anyway, let's go through it. But it was like, oh, it looks so nice. So pillar one is identifying what's going on with stress and resetting your system if you're stressed. Knowing that cortisol is often the root cause and finding ways to downshift your nervous system daily. What do I mean by that? We're going to build this out in the workshop time, but I want you to be able to identify what's going on, where are you seeing stress in your day, and how can you kind of remove yourself from that stress? How do you separate yourself from things outside of your control? Because that's going to keep your nervous system at an all-time high. So, lowering cortisol very intentionally, being able to calm our body very intentionally. That could be like a breathing exercise, just breathing in and out a few times. That could be cuddling up with a cozy blanket. That could be sitting and drinking water. It could be not sitting at all. It could be going for a walk, but finding ways that for you will help you down regulate that anxiety, that cortisol. Pillar number 2 is balanced meals. We're going into a lot more depth with this tomorrow, so I hope to see you back here tomorrow, by the way. And we'll talk about what balanced meals are, but that's actually the pillar of a very important pillar, I should say. It's the topic of tomorrow and a very important pillar for number 2 is balanced meals. Importantly, 3 balanced meals, not just skipping breakfast and having lunch and dinner or skipping lunch because you're too busy, but 3 balanced meals. I'll talk about balance a little bit more in depth tomorrow, but when I talk about this, I mean whole foods. I mean getting enough protein, eating carbs, eating vegetables, getting healthy fats, and not ignoring any of those actual full food groups, and getting 3 meals a day. So those are the key ideas. When I talk to people, a lot of times they're snacking 2 or more times throughout the day. So eating 3 balanced meals a day, whole foods, is really, really key here. Pillar number 3 is tone up and train. And this is exercise. Okay. So a lot of people tell me, oh, I want to tone more. A lot of people are also afraid at the same time of getting really bulky. Like, I don't want to lift weights. I'm going to get really bulky. My legs are going to get big. My arms are going to get big. You have to grow your muscles in order to tone because not only do muscles show that definition, it shows the parts you honestly want to show. Like it makes your booty a little bit bigger in the best ways. It makes your arms toned instead of flabby. It makes your stomach, your core toned again as well. So muscles are good because they help tone those areas, but they also burn fat faster. And if I frame it like this, you're gonna love it because it helps like click. You will actually burn fat while you sleep, and that sounds awesome. But when you get enough rest and when you strength train, you are actually doing that. You're actually burning fat as you sleep. So you have to grow your muscles. You have to do some sort of strength training. And I'm using that very intentionally to saying, not just go exercise more. Don't just go run 5 days a week and do endless Stairmaster or elliptical or whatever, but instead being very intentional when you do exercise that you are using resistance training. It could just be body weight. That actually is great for people just starting out. Walking is great for people just starting out, but as you progress, you want to add in some weights. They can be light weights, 2 or 5 pounds, like anything like that, progressively getting bigger weights, because you want to aim for progressive overload. You want to grow your muscles so they are burning fat while you sleep. Okay, so that's really key. Pillar number 4 is sleep. And I mentioned this a lot because it is really key. So when you have a sleep debt, there's a lot of research that says your sleep debt can't be solved until you actually catch up on it. So if you have, I don't know, if you pulled all-nighters in college and you still had never caught up from that and took like long naps and slept full nights, and you've been chronically getting 6 hours of sleep a night, you have a very big sleep debt. Um, Even if you had kids and your kids have woken you up when they were little and you needed to change their diaper or feed them or whatever, like that takes years to recover from actually as well. And that's what the research is showing. So it could be as extreme as that. It could be less. So, for example, if your body needs 8 hours of sleep and you're getting 6 or 7, you're still not getting quite enough. And so that sleep debt progressively goes larger over time. This shifts your hormones. Not only is sleep when you rest and repair, but it shifts your hormones so you have bigger cravings during the day as well. So getting enough sleep is really key. Part of that is also morning light. So what I mean by that is it's hard. It's rainy when I look outside, it's raining. It's hard when it's rainy. Um, but in the morning, as you are waking up, our bodies are supposed to, if we didn't have, artificial light, we would wake up with the sun and we would go to sleep with the dark. And so our bodies need this morning light as part of our circadian rhythms to know when it's time to wake up. And that helps us be awake and it helps us have more energy. Same thing in the evening. We should lower our lights as we start to wind down. And this was part of a wind down routine. So we lower the lights, we dim them, we take away blue lights specifically because blue lights are going to really impact our melatonin production. We're not going to be as ready for sleep if we don't have melatonin. Melatonin and cortisol are kind of like opposites. So we need melatonin in the right amounts at nighttime. We need cortisol to be away at nighttime, but higher in the morning. Like we need those. Having even dimming the lights in the evening, but potentially doing things like journaling or breathing, meditating. Like if you do any of those things, those are really helpful. But it could be like every night before bed, you put the dishes out of the sink. Okay. You have a routine that you do every night, and that helps you know and transition into being ready for sleep. And then the last part is like going to sleep and waking up at the same time consistently every day, even on the weekends, not sleeping in, waking up fairly consistently, even on the weekends, not staying up late, going to bed fairly consistently. And that gets, I think, easier as we get older, but perhaps that's something that is something you can shift. All right, pillar number 5 is repeatable routines and mindset. Um, I say this, I feel like I say this with love and not being judgmental at all, and hopefully it comes across that way. But I think a lot of people really ignore mindset when they are thinking about health and they're like, I just want to lose weight. I'm like, mindset, we should talk about that. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to skip that module. That's not for me. But I honestly cannot understate the importance of mindset enough. Systems are always going to help you. Having the right mindset there is going to be key to build the systems correctly. So thinking about how do you set up your week for success, and we'll chat about that in a moment. But I also want to introduce to you the idea of the morning domino effect. So think of dominoes, right? Like if they're in a line, you knock down one, they all go down. In the morning, you can either set your dominoes up for success or you can set them up for failure. So, say you set them up for success. You wake up in the morning, you wake up at the consistent time, you drink some water in the morning. You're like, oh, I feel good. All right, I'm going to make sure I eat breakfast this morning. So, for me, it's always a smoothie. I love my smoothies. And I say, okay, I'm going to go make a smoothie. And I feel my metabolism wake up and I'm like, okay, I got my water, got my smoothie, might add some coffee. Like I like coffee too. And so I add in these like habits that are helping me have a good day. And I'm like, oh, I feel good. I'm going to go work out today. Okay, I worked out. I feel really good. Now I'm going to make sure I have an awesome lunch. Oh, I had an awesome lunch. Great. Now I'm going to make sure I keep eating good for dinner, right? And so we can keep up this momentum because of that morning domino of waking up at the right time and getting water. Like something so simple, right? So start out with something simple in the morning and then everything afterwards becomes easier. The opposite is true too. So in the morning, if you were to have a really, I don't know, shitty start to your morning, you slept through your alarm, you rushed through the shower, you spilled your coffee on your shirt, your kids are screaming, right? Like that's that morning domino that translates into a really rough day, right? Mondays, we're known for it. So thinking about how can you have a morning domino start you off on the right foot. Okay. So we have chatted a while. I definitely don't want to go over the 3 o'clock hour unless you want to stay and hang out and workshop with me. So I'll leave that time open, but I want to point out something. You could do this for the next 6 to 12 months. You could DIY guess it. You could spend 30 minutes with me for free and have a really good game plan of where you're headed from here. So here's how I can help you. Apparently, that picture didn't want to work. I'm offering to you all and watching the replay to you all as well, a metabolic rehab assessment. So going a little more in depth with that quiz that we started with, and I'm going to give you some more specific feedback of like, here's where you're scoring. You are really impacted by these things and diving into it. So I will send you a link as well, another link. If you'd like to book this metabolic reset, I'll send you that. And then I'll send you one more thing. So if you'd like for me to give you that score and be like, okay, here's clearly what you need to work on first, we will go through it, talk about a personalized plan. If you feel like you're doing everything and you're still stuck, I will ask, like, bring a food log to this, bring sleep wake times. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about workouts. Okay. Um, this is one of my current clients. Her name's Megan. She is almost graduating. She's in her last week of this program as well. And so I wanted to share, she worked with me one-on-one and she has a lot of positive things to say. Back in June, she was already down 20 pounds. That was like 2 months in. Yeah, like 5 weeks in, she was down 20 pounds. And now at the end, she's like, if you do it, you get out what you put in. So that's someone that I've worked with that has a lot of positive things to say. If you're like on the fence, you're like, yeah, this might be really helpful for you. Okay. The other thing I want to tell you about, you're here. So I want to give you a heads up that my group coaching program is also opening up today. So perhaps you don't want to work with me one-on-one. I just sent you the link for the group coaching program as well. And if you wanted to jump in and get started, that is available. There's also some bonuses. All those details, without spending too much time on it, are heading to your inbox. I'll chat about it throughout this workshop as well. But again, my main goal is for you to get value. I honestly don't care if you join this program or not. I would love to see you in there. I would love to help you more directly. But if you're getting value out of this, then I'm doing something right. And truly, that is my goal. So I'll chat more about it, but there is zero pressure because I want you to have some key takeaways from this workshop. And I want you to be able to workshop out these routines, whether we do it on Zoom today or whether you take the workbook and do it on your own. So, key takeaways. The number one reason healthy habits fail, by the way, this is in your workbook. Motivation dies. Willpower dies. It usually dies 1 to 3 weeks into any new program. And I know this because I've seen it with clients over and over again. They start off strong, they do like all, quote unquote, all the homework, like all the things, and then they fall off the face of the earth and they're like, yeah, I'm just giving up. The benefit of working with me is like, I'm like, hey, knock, knock. I'm here. I'm here with your check-in. How are things going? I haven't heard from you. I'm concerned. How are things going? And that's the reason that my clients are successful is because when willpower dies, systems continue on. Okay. It doesn't have to be perfect to work. It just has to be a baby step forward every day. It might be slower, but you're still going to see success if you keep working at it. So the 10-minute habits are always going to beat that all or nothing mindset because even if you do a little bit, even if you've got a busy day, even if you have a lot going on, you are going to be able to actually compound into real results if you keep working at it over time. And I want you to think about your morning domino. I explained it earlier, but it's like tipping you in the direction of having a good rest of your day or tipping you in the direction of having a really crappy day. So, what is your morning domino moment and what could that be for you? So, pick something that is going to set up the rest of your day for success. If you have nothing else to say, drink water. Start off the day with water. That's my day every morning. And I always have it. Like I always have it here, my blue cup, you always see it. That is what I'm going to start my morning off with. I'm going to drink water every morning. I'm going to make sure that I start my day off with that. And that always sets up my day for success. Okay, so we'll switch into workshop time. I would love to see in the chat. I still see people here. That's always a good sign. What's the biggest takeaway that you've gotten out of this call so far? Like, what is your biggest takeaway? You can put it in the chat, at least write it down. And then we'll move on to the workshop time. We'll hang out for a little bit longer and build out routines for you. All right, stick to a routine for a positive morning domino. Awesome. We'll build out that routine in just a second. So sticking to a routine is really key. Absolutely. All right, I'll continue. Let's chat routines. Oh, I'm, so I love the concept of the morning domino. Cool. Very cool. All right. So how can you balance your routines? So thinking there are some prompts throughout. Um, I'm not sure where the blue is coming from on the screen. That's not me. So there are some prompts, and I want you to spend 5 minutes. What can you do to balance your routines? What can you declutter? You may never have thought about that, but decluttering is a really important thing to reset. I won't show you I will show you. If you can see on my little screen, here's what I'm decluttering. It's like a whole box of hats over there. My husband bought these hats that he was going to make, and we had this like box of hats and some files that I need to like. There's just like a corner over there, and it's really impacting my space. That's what I will be decluttering, just to be honest with you. But there's always something that we can declutter to reset. And to take away, what's one routine you can commit to upgrading this upcoming week? All right. So here's your micro win. By the way, this is your accountability. If you'd like to join the Facebook group if you're in there already. There is an accountability thread. It's yellow. It's at the very top of the group. And you can post your choice here. Like, what would you like to choose? You could just say, hey, I'm choosing to do an evening downshift, or hey, I'm going to have a morning domino. Like, you could just say that, or you could be more specific, like, I'm going to have water for my morning domino, or whatever. So that's your micro win. I did include it. I don't know why the pictures aren't showing up anymore, but there was a picture here of what the thread looked like. It's yellow with like all these happy faces. And so that's just accountability, like pure accountability, getting people to engage because when you say you're going to do something, even if it's to a group of strangers, I'll comment on it and I'll see it, but you're much more likely to follow through when other people are seeing it. All right. This is what's coming up tomorrow, by the way, is fueling for all day energy. We'll be chatting that. So I'm going to switch what I'm sharing. I'm going to get out of this one and go into the workbook. So you had a notes section. Hopefully you took some notes there. Here's your takeaways for today. I'm gonna put on some like calming music. I'm going to have you, if you want to stay on, here's what we're gonna be working on. So, how will you set the tone for your day so you start strong? It's very powerful when it comes from yourself. What will you do to have a break or healthy habit in the middle of the day? What are you going to do to relax before bed so you can rest well and have a good like resting evening, nighttime? What's your plan for meal prep? Do you meal plan? Are you going to? What days are you going to do it? What days are you going to do household tasks? How are you going to get leisure time? What are you going to declutter? And what's one routine you can commit to improving this week? So I'll hang out with you. It that workshop is exactly 1 hour, so that's exciting. But I'll hang out here for the next 10, 15 minutes. So as you're working on your workbook, I'll leave these up and just give you some time and space. I will keep the chat open as well. So if you have questions, pop them in the chat, and I'll put some music on so it's peaceful. Yeah, you're welcome. Um, you should have your own copy of the workbook, Vonda, so you can put your answers. You can write them down or you could type them on your version there. All right, morning domino. Yes. Morning sun. Love it. Both evening downshift, morning. Cool. So I like everyone's kind of all like both of them are very, very helpful. Awesome. Let's put some music on. If you don't have the If you don't have the workbook, the next thing to do is just grab blank paper. Doesn't have to be formal for it to work. Let's get some music. I have an app called Activations, and it's a really good one. But there's one called Just Music. I'll turn it up for you. Jill, I see your comment. I'm thinking. Harriet, see your comment. I'm gonna go ahead and send you a link to it. Um, otherwise maybe do that. Affiliate. This is my favorite protein of all time. Um, it's a multivitamin along with protein, which I really love. That's my favorite. They have a collagen as well, I think. I haven't used collagen for a while. Um, this company, I really like it because they don't have like they don't have heavy metals. They've been third party tested. They don't have fillers. They have a lot of like really pure products. So I just love this company. Advanced collagen sport. There it is. Yes, I'm not as familiar with their collagen personally, but just the company. When I do my supplements, I get everything from them. Um, but yeah, I used to use it was a marine collagen. I don't remember the brand. It was like blue and green on it. So I don't remember exactly what brand it was, but if I think of it, I will send it to you. And Jill, I don't know if you saw it. I sent it to you in a private chat for the different meditation app, and then like a meditation ball. So I sent that over to you as well. Am I still recording? I'm gonna stop the recording at this point.